Hi, everyone. Carter Krishna here for Beyond the 90. I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the changes you've seen on in terms of Beyond the 90 in the last month or month and a half. So, first off, I had a couple of weeks during the holidays or the festive period, as they're called in the UK, to write a little more about football, soccer than I normally have the ability to do. And because I was not, I was told by my publisher at the Boca Raton Tribune, no hard news over the holidays. Now, what I did not realize, I don't want to get into this too much, what I did not realize is he still expected me to cover Florida Atlantic University sports and high school sports during that period. I thought I basically didn't have to do anything hard news related because I considered sports hard news. I thought it was just, oh, okay, we're covering, festivals and Christmas tree lightings and that sort of stuff, and Toys for Tots. So anyway, made a mistake with that, but the point is, it gave me the ability, more bandwidth to write about the Bundesliga and write about the EFL, which I want to try and continue to cover, especially since I do appear regularly on TalkSport in the UK discussing the EFL. It gave me the ability to write a little bit about the Premier League. In addition, we have the Football Linio network that covers La Liga. That's part of Beyond the 90. So more European content. Now, and then, of course, the cricket content. We'll get to that in a minute. Now, at one point earlier in our history, in the existence of Beyond the 90, we had made a strategic decision not to cover anything that wasn't related directly to the sport in the United States. Or I should say North America, because we had Canadian coverage and some Caribbean coverage, but nothing related to the sport outside of here, because that is what our subscribers wanted. And just as a point of personal perspective here, I am very steep, particularly in the history of the English game. It's one of my real passions, is understanding the origins and history of working class fandom and the origins of clubs in England in particular, not in the UK, because I don't have the same passion for Scottish football. But I respected kind of where our subscribers wanted us to go and drop that coverage. And the majority of you expect very robust coverage of USL, the USL Championship, USL League One and League Two, which we provide, and coverage of NISA, League for Clubs, NPSL, etc. So we're continuing to provide that. USL Super League on the women's side, Gainbridge Super League on the women's side. But at a certain point, our subscriber numbers began to not tail off, but just flatline. And so I thought it would be a good experiment with that, what I believed was my increased bandwidth, to talk a little bit more about European football during the holidays, to write a little bit about more European football in the holidays, and then also to bring in some cricket coverage, because quite frankly, I need a place to write about cricket, because I also have ties to that sport, not nearly as deep ties as I do to football, soccer, football, but I do have ties to it, and I have people who contribute to Beyond the 90, who have bugged me for a large portion of time. Hey, there should be something like Beyond the 90 for cricket. What we found with the European coverage, I want to address the European coverage more than the cricket here today. What we found with the European coverage is it is bringing us some more subscribers, free subscribers, not necessarily paid subscribers. We don't have a lot of paid subscribers. We have mostly, the vast majority of subscribers are free subscribers. But it's bringing us more free subscribers, more people with eyeballs on Beyond the 90. Now, I understand, based on looking at the analytics on the back end, it's a different set of readers looking at those articles than look at USL Championship, USL League One, League for Clubs type articles. I understand that. And I'm someone who has always felt, I've always had this issue with people in the United States who just focus exclusively on the European game. I do not like the fact that we have what have been, I think, rightly called Eurostomps at times. People who do not watch domestic soccer, do not know anything about youth soccer in this country, do not know anything about grassroots soccer in this country, and profess over and over again to say, well, this is what we should do to fix American soccer. And, oh, the standard of football, soccer is not very good in this country. And they don't know a darn thing about it. They're talking out of their rear ends. I don't like that. And I've always made it a point when people have maybe rightly said in the past, I have a bias towards German football, or I have a bias towards English football. Really, I mean, I've gotten the charge a lot on German football 10 or 15 years ago. Now it seems like more people think I'm there was some term used to describe me. I don't even know what it is, about being just like English. It's not Anglophile. Something that apparently was on social media or on Reddit. Now, I genuinely don't like being called that, because I'm more steeped in what's going on in this country than many of those people. And many of them are just watching MLS and they're just watching things at the top, and they don't know how things percolate to the top. So I understand for a lot of people who are involved in grassroots football, youth soccer, that sort of stuff here in this country, European coverage sometimes can be a bugaboo if things skew towards coverage of Europe. And I totally understand why. So here's what I'm going to talk about here and propose. Substack is very, very robust in how it allows you to curate your experience on Substack, on the Substack platform. So if you subscribe, you have a Substack profile. You can automatically opt out of what emails you get. So if you don't want emails about from around the EFL or from the Football Lineal Network, you can automatically opt out of that. If you don't want emails from the Florida Soccer Report, you can automatically opt out of that. Or if you have subscribed, which I think some people have, particularly we have a lot of Tampa Bay Rowdies fans who have subscribed, which is why I try, again, this is a market. This is not me pushing my personal preferences on people. This is the free market of football and marketing preferences. I very much am pragmatic that way. That's why I push so much Rowdies coverage, because there are more Rowdies fans who read our stuff than any other supporter base. So if you just want Rowdies coverage, you can opt out of everything but Florida Soccer Report and the third half. You can opt out of all the cricket coverage. There is a way on Substack. I don't have a demonstrator to show you, but there is a way where you can curate what newsletters you get from Beyond the 90. And the cricket thing hasn't been such an issue. I mean, there are people who I didn't know like cricket who are like, oh, this is great, you're covering cricket. But I know the European thing, and having an excessive number of articles about European football bothers some people who are into the lower division scene in the United States. And I'm not passing judgment on that. I completely understand why, and I can relate to why. But don't worry, we are not becoming a Bundesliga heavy or Premier League heavy or Serie A heavy site at all, or newsletter at all, or La Liga heavy newsletter at all. We will still continue to cover lower division soccer. And by the way, a lot of this coverage came when USL was in a break. And the thing we're covering with USL is the collective bargaining agreement negotiations and the roster ramp-ups in League One. The League One has a CBA that's going to run through 2027. They have to they might be going through this in 2 years in League One. But right now they have a CBA. So the coverage of European football, understand, is a bonus. It's an extra. And it's something we're going to continue, because we have to diversify our readership. There are people who have subscribed just because we're writing articles about English football history. The Billy Meredith article that I wrote the other day about the greatest player in the history of Manchester, in my opinion. Well, I mean, we don't have, from an era. Not going to say, I can't definitively say he was better than Georgie Best or Mike Summerby, respectively, Best at United, Summerby at City, and then later on, Ryan Giggs, those sorts of great Man United players, or the great Man City players, the the Vincent Companies and Kevin De Bruyne, right? I can't definitively say that, but one of the greatest players, in my opinion, in the history of English football. So even that, we got some feedback on. It is not from the sort of people who are watching the USL Championship week in, week out. And I get that. So I just want to make that clear. There is always this kind of tension. This is part of the reason why, now I'm giving my own editorial commentary. This is part of the reason why football has not been as successful in this country, soccer has not been as successful in this country as some of us thought it would be. When we dug into this, my fandom goes back to the 1980s, but my professional life in soccer goes back to 2006 only. It's 20 years now. But as popular as we thought it would be by the time we got to 2026, or as popular as we thought it would be by the time we got to 2018 or 2015, because there are these fractions. I think if you add up all the pieces of the pie, the sport is extremely popular in the United States. You have people who only watch the Premier League. You have people who only watch the Bundesliga. You have people who only watch La Liga. And then you have people who only watch lower division soccer, people who only watch MLS, people who only watch Liga MX, people who only watch the South American leagues. And that fragmentation has prevented us as a sport from overtaking baseball, basketball, and hockey, ice hockey, the three sports that are really kind of in our crosshairs. And we're not going to overtake American football ever. But we have the opportunity, I think, if we all come together and we appreciate the game for all its richness around the world, to really make this perhaps the second most popular sport in the United States for generations to come. So thank you again for your patronage of Beyond the 90, and have a great week, and we'll see you soon.